cars and it had push button shift on the dash. You know, that was pre-column. So I was like,
What do you need to know?
three computers up.
The John?
No, mine was completely white.
I think Mamie muted herself.
Oh.
Commissioner Scott brought donuts, so you all can virtually eat them at your chairs.
Yes.
What?
This was my snack. I had my tangerine while I was waiting.
What is it?
Mamie is Mamie muted?
Just for right now, until I get us going here.
All right.
I'm glad all this virtual stuff over, you know. I don't know when that's going to be. Well, and the sad part about it is they're going to protest again if they can show us and it again. So,
Seen anything yet?
Annette, I just wanted to ask a question. I've been printing the agenda off at home and then just doing the meeting on Zoom. Is there a way on my little screen to put it and have the agenda and the material show up at the same time, or is that not possible?
It is possible. When I tried to do that last week, I kind of got sidetracked because we were doing presentations and things like that. So it is possible, but to be honest, I'm not perfected yet to make that happen. Sorry.
Okay, so just printing it out is probably best plan though, printing it out and having it and then just watch the screen is probably the plan.
Yeah, if I can get my other screen to go, I can try to do that. No, yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Should be like.
I usually get back to my desk after these and I have emails from vendors, hey, are you guys opening? Well, you know, what's the time? So this morning, at quarter after 9, I shot them all an email and I said, technology cooperates. We will be opening at 3:30.
It looks like I'm on, but I don't know.
Oh, I see.
No, I can't live, I'm not sure if we're live, it's not showing up on Stephanie's.
I show a thing here, it says live now. Right here, I see the screen.
I could do the fire first and
It's showing on.
on Monday, I'm getting rid of all my edges. It'll be in the trash and the recycle. My plant pots and my bag of fertilizer that I purchased from Indiana.
And my sister said, she goes, I'm so glad we live next to free Indiana.
We went to dinner the other night. What is today? Thursday? Tuesday, we went to dinner at Hacienda.
It's my son's birthday today, and he lives in Camden, so I'm thinking we're just gonna hop on over to South End on Portage Avenue and go to Hacienda.
I know one Mission City was open. And there was, surprisingly, there were very few people in it,
Yeah.
you know, and it was every other booth. But and it was like they brought the chips and salsa and the water and the diet. Said, "Are you ready to order?" I said, "Yes, it's ready to order." And we ordered, I mean, it was like 15 minutes, all of a sudden there comes burritos and
I've got it up on the website.
Yeah, it's up on here.
Okay, we are live with the Berrien County Finance Commission, Thursday, May 14th. In the boardroom, staff present are Stephanie Carlson, Sherry Vance, William Christie, or William Wolf, Annette Christie, and Ezra Scott, Commissioner Ezra Scott. And so we're going to start with the roll call, Stephanie.
Commissioner Yarborough,
Present.
Commissioner Harrison,
Here,
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Here,
and Scott's
here.
here.
And then the next one will be our bid openings, and Sherry's here, we just have the one.
Okay, first one is from Kaylin. Maybe?
Noticed you must have opted out of doing bill 3.
Their bid is $256,735. Next one is Reeve Riley. Their bid is $229,890.25. And the last one is from Michigan Paving. Their bid is $600,000.
was that 600,000?
Yes.
Okay.
May I ask, may I have a motion, please, to accept these bids?
I'll make that motion. I, Commissioner Harrison, move that we refer the bids to the department with the approval to move forward with the lowest bidder. They meet specifications and requirements, however, recognizing the best qualified bid can move forward. In addition, we authorize the county administrator to execute the subsequent contract associated with this bid and any contract modifications up to $5,000.
May I have support?
Commissioner Scott supports.
Thank you. I would like to ask, is there someone from the road commission there on the Zoom also?
We do have.
Yes, there is Kevin Staff.
Thank you. Is Reeve Riley now out of strike, or they're able to do work, or what's going on with them?
So Reeve and Riley, most of their employees have come back to work non-union.
Okay,
They have not left the union yet. However, their employees are non-union.
okay,
Michigan Paving has voted the union out. So Michigan Paving is back to work full force without a union.
and they were out, Michigan Paving was out for a while also?
Michigan Paving never went on strike, but they're having the same issues with contracts as Reeve and Riley. And
Okay.
their employees all got together and voted the union out.
Okay, who's talking? Who's the
Kevin
person?
Stack.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by, do you need to a voice? Do a
Roll call.
We need a roll call.
roll call. Okay,
Commissioner Yarborough,
yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yay.
Motion, the bid for the motion.
Thanks for the dog.
No problem.
So that was the only bid that we had today, Manny, and so I'm actually looking at a budget amendment discussion with the road department, and they are on via Zoom.
Okay. Continue.
Jason or Carrie?
Hey, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Can you see us too?
Um,
No.
We cannot see you.
Oh, yeah, turn
Give me a minute. Give me-
or
give me-
wait,
give
the
me-
camera, he has the camera.
Yeah.
All right, just give us 1 second. We're trying to get our camera up and running.
okay. Thank you. Yes,
Hey, how's it going?
good, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
There we go.
All right, so we're gonna just jump right in.
Okay,
All right, so,
Excuse me. Jason?
yep,
Yeah, Commissioner Scott, before you get started on your budget amendment thing, I had one question.
sure.
On the road payables, under check number 207007, AIS Construction Equipment Corp., that was $329,317.72. Was that a my deal purchase, or is that a lease, or what is that?
So that would be my deal purchase.
Okay, all right, that's all I had. Now you can go, now I can
Okay.
close this up and get to your budget amendment. I wasn't sure.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, so budget amendment. So this is first budget amendment for this fiscal year. What we were hoping to do is come to you guys back in March. Obviously, that didn't happen. And we've been diving into these numbers and trying to deal with all the issues that are going on during this pandemic. But what I want to do is just kind of give you the high level, and then we can, if you have questions, we can kind of talk through it. So the big picture is we're conservative. I typically don't want to put a budget together and then blow it. So that's the good news. The number that I think is really the most important one to keep in mind is the ending fund balance. Our ending fund balance should be in that $7 to $8 million range based on the actual revenue that we have here. So you can see down at the bottom, we're projecting a 7.9 million fund balance. So the nice thing is that's conservative. If it said 7 million, then we'd be like right, kind of on the edge. But since it's at 7.9, that's good. That's a good place to be. I think we can kind of start at the top real quick, where we have the 2020 original budget. You see that 16.7 million. That was our original budget, and we're still sticking with that number. And that number was just reconfirmed by MDOT recently and through the County Road Association, saying that that's the number that they think we will have this year. So that's good news. That's good news because that's where we want to be. We'll see where we end up. I hope it's that number. And like I said, they just reconfirmed it. I think they used pretty strong language that this number is a good number. It is a budgeted number approved by the state, and based on their projections, that should be where we end up. So The nice thing is that's where we started, and then that's the number that we use to develop our asset management program. So all the projects that we have in the asset management plan, the ones that you guys have been seeing all the bids for, all those projects right now, based on that number and based on that ending fund balance, we aren't anticipating cutting any projects. Like this is, what we said we were gonna do 3-4 months ago, and what we've been talking to the townships about, and what we put in our asset management plan that you guys saw in March, everything's a go.
Okay.
What I hoped, as I was hoping that when I came for this amendment, I was hoping that we would have additional funding from the state, and I was gonna be adding projects, but right now, that doesn't look like that's gonna happen, obviously. But the good news is, we've reconfirmed the number that we have, and nothing needs to be cut. And it was because the original 2020 budget was pretty conservative. I think that's the high level. I kind of, you know, Carrie and I spent a lot of time going through this. I kind of want to give you guys an opportunity to ask a few questions or see what you think. You know, typically, you know, I like to do PowerPoints. I would have done a big long PowerPoint and I would have gone through a whole bunch of things, but I figure in this format, maybe giving you guys an opportunity to ask a few questions might be a better way to go.
Okay. I'd like to ask committee members, do you have a question? Just come right in and ask. Say your name and.
This is Commissioner Scott. I have a question. Where did the over/under expenditures come in at? Was that under contractual roadwork services or services?
Yeah.
Is that what the big,
so those.
what is that?
Are you looking at that 5 million number in terms of the adjusted amount?
Yes.
So those numbers are, and I got my list here. So we have a few items that make that up. One is the Union Pier Red Arrow Highway project. We didn't have in our original budget the township contribution, so that's almost 2 million of township contribution. That's part of that 5 million. We also have the a few of the rollover projects last year, the Napier project that didn't go, that was up here, St. Joe River to Colfax. We got to pull that in this year, as well as the CMAC project. That's the congestion mitigation. It's actually a trail project in Lincoln Township. That money doesn't come to the road department, but that wasn't budgeted yet, and that's $1 million. So right there, that's probably 4 million of the 5 million. We didn't have firm commitments on, so it wasn't in our 2020 budget, but and that is considered new revenue, but it's not MTF funding coming to us, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, no, it did. Thank you.
Yep.
Jason, this is Bob Harrison. Is the CMAC project, is that just the Roosevelt Road?
Yes. Yep.
He's nothing on Marquette?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. It's expensive because of the bridge?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you've probably seen the township have to keep amending how much money they're adding to it. Exactly.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? I have a couple of questions. Jason, I would like to ask, what is your fiscal year? Is it different than, like January?
We are now on the county's fiscal year. Originally, October 1 was the start, but last year we finally finished that, and now we are on a calendar year.
That's good. January to December.
Exactly. Okay. So that's a year.
Yes. And I'm just trying to see, I had written that down. I wanted to know, I'm trying to see if there are other things that I wondered about. I think that's it. I wanted to know if you were on the same calendar.
Yep, it took the better part of 24 months, but we finally got everything rolled over, and now we're on the same calendar year.
Good. Yarborough still. What amount does Berrien County put into the road department? Isn't there a set amount each year that we put into it, or is it not?
At
So-
this time, Commissioners, this bill, we're not giving them any general fund direct subsidy.
Okay.
They
and-
would get, I mean, if you scratch the surface, their indirect subsidy would be in terms of other services, building and grounds to some extent. But and even for that stuff, they're doing an indirect cost through Maximus. So I can say they're pretty much on their own. That's
Okay.
not saying we wouldn't if they really, if we really hit a wall.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think we should be prepared to help them. But right now, they're not really draining the county.
Good. And I asked that because I just know what it used to be, that we had a certain amount each year that we put in. And that's when it was the road commitment. And so
Yeah,
go ahead. sir.
that was the 75,000 a year I think we put into the bridge program. And I don't think we've given it to you in a couple of years, have we, Jason?
That is correct.
Real good, because you all are getting money from other, well, wasn't a lot of money, but you are working at grants, and whatever comes available, you apply for it.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I think the other thing that we're doing, it's the asset management side of things. I believe, Bill, a lot of that money actually went to the culverts. That we have a lot of culverts that are in bad shape. So we have a pretty robust culvert program now. So I think our asset management plan and then our efficiency, and one of these days I'll come to you guys and show you how many culverts we replace and how we do it. I think we're getting much more efficient at doing it. So one of these days I might ask you guys for money, but right now I think we're replacing about as many culverts as we can. I don't think we could replace any more than we are right now without having to consult that out. And I'd rather not if I can do it in-house.
Real good. Thank you so much. Those are my questions. Are there any other questions of the road department? Anything else you'd like to say to us? Yes?
Yes, it's Commissioner Scott. Do we, or are we getting into a ditch digging program for 2020 for the roads?
We have been doing some ditching. We've been concentrating on the high shoulder removal. That's kind of if I had to prioritize, high shoulder removal would be first, ditching would be second. Our plan is to kind of have an operational, I'm hoping that one of these days I can find a really good replacement for John or for Brian to get in here and actually kind of have that operational engineer position. And really one of the things that we would be able to jump on is exactly that, is develop a ditching program, the high shoulder removal program, and then tackle it just like we tackle everything else from an asset management standpoint. Here's how many miles of ditching we can do in a year. Here's how many miles of high shoulder. Here's the cost of it. And then actually develop that program. And then each garage would go out and that would be their summer planned work program versus reactive maintenance program.
Thank you.
Real good.
Jason, it's Bill. Can you put any kind of a number to the number of shoulders and
Yes.
that were worked on? Because remember, you and your crew stayed working when some of our colleagues shut themselves down, but you kept working right through the crisis with your crews out in the field. So
Yeah, we can do that.
Can you address it?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can certainly send it to you, to Annette, and she can send it out to everybody. If you want just a synopsis of the last couple months, well, we've been working and most of the country's been locked at home.
And that's maybe Yarborough. That's what I was wondering, that you all did not have to stop. You were essential, the things that you were doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's great. It's great but we've been putting a lot of measures in place to keep people safe. We only are allowing one person in a truck at a time. We used to have two people, so there's a little added cost. Now we're taking more trucks to site.
Okay,
All of our meetings and all of everybody coming on board, they don't come into the garage. We actually meet outside.
okay,
So everyone can stay, and then each person goes in and gets their truck and then they head out.
Good.
So we're doing a lot of those things that everybody else is doing in terms of making sure, asking the questions if they have any symptoms, definitely staying on top of that, and then reporting anybody that has any illness or any symptom, making sure that we report that and tracking all of that.
really good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
So I can jump in really quick. Carrie just did the math. It looks like we did approximately 60 miles of high shoulder removal in the last few months.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie.
Jason, was that 160?
It's just 60 straight miles.
60.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. So that's the actual mile. So if we did both sides of the shoulder, it'd be, you could double that.
Okay,
Shoulder miles versus actual miles.
good.
Thank you.
And we started paving yesterday out here in Benton Township and Bainbridge Township on Napier Avenue, the 2-lane section. So they got one bound, almost a mile paved yesterday. And I also can report last Friday, we completed one of our signal projects over there. It's the old Home Depot access point on Napier Avenue.
Yes, at Crystal?
Yep, South Crystal, yep, exactly, at Napier. That signal upgrade is completed. That project's done, so we can check that out.
Okay.
And we inspected that in-house.
Oh, good. Crystal Napier.
And we're doing the construction engineering and inspection in-house on this paving portion of Napier as well.
Okay.
And both of those were federal aid.
Thank you. That's so good to know. Again, do I ask, are there any other questions? We thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Take care.
Thanks.
Oops, I don't know where we are. What do we do?
So
Business?
we're at the minute approval for, we need a motion to approve the minutes from your April 23rd meeting.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
This is Commissioner Scott. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the virtual finance committee held on April 23rd, 2020.
This is Commissioner Harrison. I support the motion.
Any corrections, questions, changes? Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yay.
Yay.
Hey, I'm following.
Committee.
On the script.
Following the script I was given.
So I'm trying to, I'm seeking for public comments on YouTube right now, so I'll have to just pause for everyone on that. And John, to answer your question, by the 10:31, I'm going to try and get it set up so that I can put your agenda up on the screen so that you can see that, make that a little easier to follow.
I was wondering about that because I saw it double time.
May I ask a question? Maybe Yarborough? Do you all really have donuts there?
Yes, we certainly do. And Ezra Bog,
I brought
You brought enough?
would you get any satisfaction from a visual tour here?
It's empty.
Empty. Yeah, you just keep thinking that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the visual.
All right, Manny, you do not have any public comments.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have anything you'd like to say or add or discuss?
The coming up next, this budget amendment for the roads is next week. And you should have received some bonding resolutions for the treasurer's office. Our routine annual borrowing is coming through. That's next week? Or is that today?
That's for today.
That one's today, but that's a routine borrowing that we're doing there. We also have one coming through that just has to do with disclosure for one of the drain projects. Fenny's on call if we have any questions for him, but it's a routine resolution that has to be done by the board for disclosure of a bond issue.
That Blue Jay, Bluebird, Blue Jay?
Yep, Blue Jay.
Yeah.
Did I get all those that are coming up for finance next week?
Well, the Blue Jay one is this week also.
Okay.
And then, the equalization director, that's for today.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, yeah, no, you got them all.
Okay.
Okay, I saw, Mamie Yarborough, I saw a resolution for honoring our parks director. Will that be read separately or is it just in the bunch?
So I have it set up so it's in the consent calendar for you to approve it, and then I have an honorary resolution, presentation done after the added resolutions. So he is supposed to be here, and actually I think Commissioner Chickering may be coming in also because he doesn't have a service pro right now, and I think he may be doing that presentation to him.
Okay, thank you, thank you. That'll be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Then we're adjourned. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
And Sherry's gone. Thanks, Sherry. Thank you all. So
All right, thank you.
we meet again at
We'll
10.
see you in a few minutes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Suzanne.
Thank you, Annette. Thank you all.